Hi, welcome back to Everyday Race. In this video, I'm going to show you complete step-by-step instructions how to convert your dumb oil pressure gauge into one that actually works. For that, I'm going to be using my 95 Ford Ranger equipped with a manual transmission and a 2.5 liter engine, which is a 4-cylinder. Now, before you can start this conversion, you have to make sure that your actual oil pressure gauge is in good working order. It looks like this with the truck running and does not look like this. Now, this conversion is pretty simple. It requires a small modification to a gauge cluster and replacement of the oil pressure sensor with a different one. Alright, so to be able to modify the gauge cluster, first it has to be removed from the truck. To help you with that, there's a link in the upper right corner. It takes about 10 minutes, no big deal. Once you got the gauge cluster out, locate on a 95 to 97 gauge cluster, 20 ohm resistor. What we have to do is very simple. We have to solder a small jumper wire on both ends of that resistor, and you're ready to go. For that, you're going to need flux, soldering iron, and solder. Make sure you get this rosin core solder and not the plumber stuff. Now, soldering is pretty simple. First, you apply a flux to the joints that you're going to solder, and then you burn them in by melting the solder onto the joints. Very easy job, and this is what the finished product is supposed to look like. Bam! Alright, so next step is to remove the stock oil pressure sensor. First, we have to unplug the electrical connection. Then the perfect combination is a 3-inch deep 27mm socket, 5-inch extension, and a ratchet. It's a perfect combination to fit right between the brake booster on the right and intake manifold on the left. Alright, so next step is to install the new sensor. I've decided to go with the Motorcraft SW1547B. You can get a cheaper ones if you want, different brand, and as you can see, it's much bigger than the original sensor. And unfortunately, it wouldn't clear the intake manifold, so it requires an adapter. Alright, I highly recommend getting this adapter. I got it at Lowe's, part number BF739NLB. It was $7.12. And the main reason I recommend it is because it fits in a 13/16 12-point socket. It fits like a glove, and it makes installation in a very tight space very, very simple. Requires a 6-inch adapter, a 6-inch extension, and a short 13/16 socket, and you're able to tighten it because there is no way to put a wrench in there. So alright, so next step is to install the elbow on the truck. Don't forget to apply some Teflon tape to the threads. It's going to have to be clocked at around 5 o'clock for the 2.3 and 2.5 liters. Then install the new oil pressure sensor using 9/16 wrench, and then plug the sensor in. Pretty simple. It should look like this on the truck. Alright, so I found perfect position. Let's see if you can. So the elbow had to be around between 4 and 5 o'clock. And they gave me enough room to put the oil pressure sensor in. And the oil pressure sensor had enough room. So tighten it with the 9/16 wrench. And about to put the connector on it, and we can install the gauge cluster and see if it works. Alright, so next plug the gauge cluster in just to test things out and start the truck and make sure everything works. Do not run the truck longer than 10 seconds, and the reason for that is you want to make sure that nothing leaks. Now, unfortunately, I was not so lucky. When I got out of the truck and looked underneath, I had some oil. So yeah, I was not a happy camper. So next step, I had to figure out what exactly was leaking. So this is what I had to do. Alright, so first I had to use some brake clean and clean all the oil from the engine. Then I removed the Motorcraft oil pressure sensor from the elbow that I got on Amazon. Then I reinstalled my original oil pressure sensor into the elbow. And then I started the truck for 10 seconds. And guess what? There was no oil coming out. So that told me that my Amazon Motorcraft oil pressure sensor was defective right out of the box. So after that, I went and reviewed my security camera footage on the day of delivery of my Motorcraft sensor, and this is what I saw. And everything made sense. So I need to get another sensor, so I had to go back to AutoZone. Their Motorcraft sensor was $10 more expensive, but they had one in stock. And unlike Amazon, it had 2-year warranty. So I wasn't overly upset about it. I went and picked it up. Alright, back from AutoZone with AutoZone Motorcraft sensor. And this is the Amazon. I'm trying to see if there's any difference. The only difference is the tape. On the AutoZone one isn't falling off. This one's tape was kind of falling off, so we'll see. Hopefully this one doesn't leak. Let's try it again. Alright, oil pressure sensor number 2 from this one's from AutoZone. Let's see what happens. Okay. Let me give it some guess and see if the oil pressure is going to go up. Okay, it's normal. Amazon Motorcraft oil pressure sensor didn't do that, so it's a success. This one's not leaking, so I can actually put the gauge cluster back together, and I just have to clean up the mess. Alright, so conclusion. The elbow had to be at 5 o'clock on the cylinder head facing this way. The elbow could have been tightened down with the 13/16 12-point socket. Made it a lot easier. And third, don't buy Motorcraft or anything from Amazon. And if you do, I recommend buying 2 or 3 at the same time so you don't waste the whole day. Alright, thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, hit a like button. If you really disliked it, stick it to me and hit the dislike button twice. And like always, have a good day.